Good morning. Our 18th Sunday in Ordinary Time from the book of Ecclesiastes. Vanity of vanities, says Koheleth. Vanity of vanities. All things are vanity. Here is one who has labored with wisdom and knowledge and skill, and yet to another who has not labored over it. He must leave property. This also is vanity and a great misfortune. For what profit comes to someone from all the toil and anxiety of heart with which he has labored under the sun? All his days, sorrow and grief is his occupation. Even at night, his mind is not at rest. This is also vanity. The word of the Lord. Reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Colossians. Brothers and sisters, if you were raised with Christ, seek what is above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Think of what is above, not of what is on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ your life appears, then you too will appear with him in glory. Put to death then the parts of you that are earthly: immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and the greed that is idolatry. Stop lying to one another, since you have taken off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed for knowledge in the image of its Creator. Here then is not Greek and Jew, circumcision and uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free, but Christ is all in all. The word of the Lord. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." He replied to him, "Friend, who appointed me as your judge and arbitrator?" Then he said to the crowd, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions." Then he told them a parable. There was a rich man who had land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, "What shall I do? For I do not have space to store my harvest." And he said, "This is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. There I shall store all my grain and other goods. And I shall say to myself, 'Now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong?' Thus it will be for all who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich in what matters to God." The Gospel of the Lord. Book of Ecclesiastes is a book used sparingly in the church's cycle, yet the few quotes used have become stuck in our minds. The author of Ecclesiastes, Koheleth, or a preacher, declares human life is nothing but vanity. If you've ever been in the cold weather and you breathe and that vapor that comes out of your mouth comes out and dissipates quickly, that's the vanity that Koheleth is speaking of. The author is taking the same issue that Jesus faced. There was a belief that wealth was a sign of God's blessing and a good life lived. Luke's story of the rich man relishing his wealth has no idea that God will call him home. Our capitalist mentality affects the way we live. The mentality sees the economy as the central concern, and it's successful if it grows. The economy for people today is that bigger barn that the rich man sought in his life? How do we as Christians express our beliefs in today's world? I've also heard stories of wealthy people setting up philanthropies to assist others with their money. Bill and Linda Gates, Warren Buffett, are just two of the names. The scriptures today want us to know that being wealthy is not a sin. Of course, it depends on how you got wealthy. It's important to not get caught up in forgetting family, friends, and loved ones, and focus only on wealth. We cannot forget to put our energies into concerns for others and focus on building community in our neighborhoods. We need to keep our perspective and the life and the image of our Creator, in which each of us is formed and to which each of us will one day return. We must decide whether our lives will be lived in acquiring wealth or remembering and putting into practice the words of the American philosopher and psychologist William James, who said, "The best use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts life." Young couple in a parish decide to invite their very elderly pastor to dinner on Sunday. The pastor accepts. He's sitting there with their 5-year-old daughter while the couple's in the kitchen getting everything ready. To break the ice, he says to the little girl, "What do we have to eat, do you know?" She says, "Yeah, I think it's goat." "Goat," the man says. I said, he was shocked at that. Priest says, how do you know it's goat?" She says, "I heard my daddy talking to my mommy, and he said to her, today is just as good a day as any to have the old goat for dinner." Have a good week, everyone. God bless.